So I have the pleasure of introducing Sergio Farias. He is a former mayor of San Juan Capistrano, 3 times council member, current council member, and a self-made man and an ally. And so he's running for Assembly District 74, and he wants to speak to us. So welcome, Sergio.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Sergio Farias. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of San Juan Capistrano. I was really happy when I looked at the pledge, and a little sad. I was reminded of my own childhood when I was looking at it. My father passed away from complications of AIDS. And so for a really important part of my life, in 5th grade, I find out my dad has full-blown AIDS. Years later, I found out, my dad was also gay. And so it was really sad to see someone live out their life in the closet, and being he was Catholic, he actually believed he was a sinner to the time he died. And so that's just horrible to see, but it was a big influence in my life. I love my dad. My dad was a lot like me. In fact, I get a lot of hate from my mom every once in a while. You look just like your dad. You got his same body, And so, it's interesting to see my oldest brother is also gay and got married during the pandemic with his husband, Ruben, in Long Beach in a public park. And we were like, if you want food, go out to the truck. The food's there. I was handing out the food. It was very low key. Everyone had a mask on. So it's really interesting that there's all these obstacles we're running around. But both of those men influenced me greatly in my life. My oldest brother saw us through difficult times. He was basically my father figure after my father passed away. My father passed away when I was 17 years old. And that actually caused me to take over a landscaping company and run that for several years. In 2008, I actually ran my first city council campaign in the city of San Juan Capistrano. So 2008, if you'll remember, Prop 8 was on the ballot. I was running a protest campaign. I was trying to talk to those issues. I ran on a platform of $15 an hour minimum wage, which was radical back then, full rights for immigrants, and full rights for LGBTQ. I was out with all the other candidates talking about this in 2008 in the city of San Juan Capistrano. I don't think we had that many Democrats down there, in fact, any. So I had a former mayor run up to me and says, I agree with nothing you said, but boy, that was entertaining, and you're brave for speaking up. And so that was really encouraging. In 2016, I got involved with the districting. So our city went into districts to try to get minorities elected. And so I got involved with that process. Then there was no candidates, so I decided to throw in my hat. I got elected in 2016. I just got reelected to my 3rd term with over 75% of the vote. I've been very, thank you. I've been very pro-development. I think we have an affordability issue, which is what I'm going to run on. Housing is out of reach for a lot of us, and especially, I'm a millennial, but especially the younger generations, they're not as patient as millennials have been. They're like, if you're an elected official, what have you done for this issue? I'm still a renter to this day. I'm 42 years old. So when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about my own situation, my own family's situation. I have a daughter that's in college now, and so I'm paying for her housing in LA, our own housing. And so it's really complicated. And these are the issues that we all deal with every day. And so they're the issues that I'm going to talk about. Affordability. We talked about insurance. Insurance and climate change go hand in hand. Why are we having the situations that we're having? Because climate change is not only real and man-made, which is controversial, but we're experiencing firsthand the results of living in a world with climate change. So I was a part of the OCFA as well for my city, and I was able to look at the aftermath of the Silverado fire. And so when we were looking at the fire when it was going towards the Great Park, we actually saw the fire turn. So there's a couple of reasons why that happened, one of which we didn't know at the time, but there's a huge fuel modification zone that was part of that development. So that means there's nothing there except for dirt. The other thing that was there that we didn't look at the time, but with the LA fires now we know, there was a berm and a big concrete wall that was actually stopping the embers from going forward. At the time, we didn't point that out as being part of the mitigation. And so at the state assembly level, when I get there, we're going to look at looking at building codes to make our communities more fire resilient, to see what's working, and really take a look at how we could live in the world that we're living in now. I did, at the local level, pass climate change resolution. It was a 2-to-1 vote. I could go into that, but that's a long story. But the fact that a South Orange County city passed a climate change ordinance, and the other vote happened to be a Republican, and I've been the only Democrat in my city for almost 10 years, but yet we've gotten a lot of things done. And so that's just shows that I could work with a lot of different types of people. The other thing that I would want to do at the state assembly is education. Having an 18-year-old daughter tell me all the issues that she would see at her school. Not every parent is great, and I know that's not popular to say as a candidate. There are a lot of parents that are in horrible situations, and so she would always try to say, "Dad, could we help this person out?" I'm like, "That's not my kid. I can't get involved, unfortunately." But I mean, we can make safe places. It's really important that we look at how our kids are being treated in a very important place, which is our public schools. In fact, it's the reason my oldest brother that I mentioned earlier is a school teacher. He wanted to create that space for students because of his own experience in life and in schools especially. So with that, I'll end it. My name is Sergio Farias. I'm running for the 74th Assembly District, which is Laguna Niguel, Dana Point, San Clemente, San Juan Capistrano, Camp Pendleton, Oceanside, Vista, and parts of Fallbrook. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me here. I'm very honored to have signed your pledge. I'm an ally. I can't believe that it's hard to get Democrats to do that every once in a while. In order for us to win, we have to draw a clear and dividing line. This is what we believe as Democrats. I don't want to legislate what happens in your lives. There's a lot about biology we don't know. And for us to act like we know everything, I mean, women's health is something that we know nothing about. There hasn't been any funding for it. And so let's not act like we know everything. Thank you. And I'm open to questions.
Don't be shy. First one's always hardest.
Oh, me? Sure. I think you did say what cities you were covering, but could you repeat that one more time?
San Juan Capistrano, Laguna Niguel, Dana Point, San Clemente, Camp Pendleton, Oceanside, Vista, and parts of Fallbrook. Thank you.
Hi, Sergio. My name is Ariana Aristegui. I'm on the Garden Grove City Council, and I face a lot of the same issues that you do in terms of getting policy passed.
Sure.
But I did get the opportunity to visit your new City Hall recently, and I want to commend you for the wonderful work that you guys have done in partnership with Jamboree. But could you tell us a little bit about that project and maybe what lessons from that project you want to take with you to the Assembly to help the rest of our cities?
Thank you. That's an important question. And I didn't want to get into it because it might turn into a long story. But since you asked it, we actually looked at that the very first term that I was elected. There was a Jamboree. I don't know what their position was. I don't think they're a major player, but they worked for Jamboree, and they might have wrote it on a napkin and said, "Hey, what if?" So the city of San Juan Capistrano, like a lot of cities, in order to not build development, actually zoned City Hall to get our housing element passed. So, okay, we need to zone places to get our housing element passed. We'll zone City Hall. We'll never build it. Don't worry about it, right? Well, when we got on, Jamboree said, well, what if we built transitional housing and we built you a brand new City Hall? And we said, okay, that might work. City manager brought it to us. The council hated it at the time. We put it on ice. Let's get a new city council in here. So we got a new city council. New city council loved it. And so just so you know, our old City Hall was a double wide. In order for me to get to the restroom, we would have to go through the executive board meeting area. So sometimes there would be like actual developers in there or staff. Excuse our council members, they're trying to get to the restroom on the other side. It was really embarrassing for a public institution to have this building. If you got a job in the city of San Juan Capistrano, and you were getting onboarded, you would put the VCR in and said, "Don't worry, this is a temporary building." It was there for 50 years. And I knew someone that worked there for 20. So we have a brand new city hall with 50 units of transitional housing behind it. So that means 30% of the area's median income and up to 50%, I believe. Because of some illegalities, they weren't able to actually build this at City Hall. They built the shell of it, and then we built the interior of it. So we built a brand new City Hall and housing without taking on debt. So it's an important story to tell as an elected official. 10 of those units were set aside for veterans as well. So a district that has Camp Pendleton in it, it's a great story to tell. Thank you.
I just want to ask real quickly. I don't know. Can you hear? Is it working? Okay. Jamboree Housing, right?
Yes.
The nonprofit Jamboree Housing?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
So we're in the middle of Santa Ana, and ICE masked goons are disappearing peoples in our community. You and Chris, when you get to Sacramento, this is an important question. What in the hell are we going to do about ICE? These people that are terrorizing people on the streets of this very city we're standing in.
Thank you. As an elected official, I've actually dealt with this question directly because we had residents calling in that folks were getting kidnapped in our city when all this started. Our captain was very angry because they don't have to inform us, the city, they have to inform law enforcement, precisely for what I'm about to tell you. So residents call, someone's getting kidnapped, our deputies responded. So you have two armed groups that are part of the government that could have been a tragedy. So they said, identify yourselves. Who are you? They're legitimate ICE people. You know, we didn't know what was going on. And so as an elected official, I will do what Congressman Levin and Senator Blakespear have done. I would ask for the community to provide me information as to who, what, when, where, and use my resources to try to figure out who these folks are, especially their constituents. We need to make sure that, are they citizens? Did they get due process? Apparently some people believe that because you're undocumented, you don't get due process. It's the United States of America. Everybody gets due process that's here. And so there are people that really believe, right, they're supposed to, and they're not in many cases. So I would support, I think, what Congressman Garcia just mentioned earlier in the week, I think, investigating where there have been violations of law. That's really important. So I would pursue that to the very end to make sure that people who are violating our laws will be prosecuted. So I would be supportive of that. Unfortunately, at the state level, it's a federal issue. So there will be a lot of restrictions. There will be a lot of things that we'll do that unfortunately will be ignored. But whatever I could do to figure out and to document, I think documenting is really important. And to help our constituents and their families in the aftermath. You know, a lot of families are mixed status. I won't say specifically who, but within my own family, I forgot, this relative's family's mixed status. So they might take the husband who had, a misdemeanor 20 years ago. So I mean, talking about these issues, it's not, like, no, it's not a felony. Our president's a felon.
Thank you for the question.
Is there anyone else?
There's one in the back.
All right. I guess more of a comment rather than a question.
Sure.
But as someone that does a lot of work in the state legislature around advocacy around issues like police accountability, like immigrant rights, access to housing, a lot of our biggest barriers are moderate Democrats that are brought out by special interests like police unions, sheriffs, real estate associations. And so when we talk about making California a safer place for all, a lot of the barriers are Dems. And so I guess for me, one of the comments is, I hope, or not comment, but question is what I guess special interest donations are y'all open to receiving? Which ones are not? I fully value candidates that don't receive money from police unions, especially when it comes to issues in the state legislature, because we have extra added layers of protection, like the Peace Officer Bill of Rights, things around that. And we've seen issues and bills fail because of Democrats that don't have the political capital or the will to vote on issues that may seem controversial because of their funders and donors.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for the question. I have pledged not to receive contributions from police unions in this race. Thank you. Money is really important for our races. I mean, by the way, Chris Cluey and I keep running into each other, I think in the right places. So we've just kind of like traded notes as we run into each other. So we were talking about this earlier. You know, even if you have personal wealth, like, do you really want to spend it on trying to get yourself elected? Right. So this is a public service sense. So I don't have personal wealth. Even if I did, I don't know that I would spend it on this. So what we do, a lot of us at this level, is we spend several hours calling people, cold calling random people that have donated to elections. Not everyone donates to elections. And so that's a big part of what we spend our time doing, is calling people, asking for contributions. So with that question, I'll make a pitch for both of Chris and I. If you're able to contribute to our campaigns, that's really important, so that we don't have to rely on special interests. I'll tell you what I told the group that I met with earlier. I try to allow the constituents that I meet on the campaign trail to form who I'm going to be as an elected official. So I've done that at the local level. The conversations that I have with my constituents are what's going to inform me when I'm in the state legislature. It's what informs me as a city council member. You know, you're at the city level, you're going to get the 10 people that hate all kinds of development, but there's all those other conversations of people that are never going to go to the city council meeting that you're going to remember, and they're going to inform you, and they've informed me on how I vote. That project was controversial for some people. A lot of other projects have been controversial for a city, but later on they say, this is the best project ever. At the time, you're ruining our city. And so you have to be able to talk to your constituents and let them form who you are. I talked to a state assembly member earlier. He says, what do you want to do when you get up there? And I'm like, you know, I'm really going to let the district decide what their priorities are for me when I'm up there. That's how I've been an elected official at the local level. I intend to do that at the state level. So far, I've heard a lot of coastal erosion, public education have been huge for constituents so far, and public safety. But public safety, like you said, that's a lot of different things. Right now, what we're talking about, we don't feel safe because our own government's being used against us. And unfortunately, we're probably going to see an increase in that. So we need to make sure that there's accountability. Thank you.